Live. Vroom. Everybody's going vroom.
I know motorcycles are
Motorcycles are a thing.
They are a thing, and they like to go super fast.
And super loud.
Super fast, super loud, right by my house.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning,
And
good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Slip Into the Night. I believe this is episode 39.
Ooh.
39. We haven't exactly been on a hiatus, per se. We just haven't been able to get things situated. And then last weekend, we went away to America's Stonehenge. For those of you who were able to see it on the like page, I posted pictures, which we will be going over.
We had a field trip.
Yes, we had a little field trip.
It was fun.
Holly came out and picked me up, and we went for a little jaunt. Where is it exactly? Is it Salem, New Hampshire?
It's technically North Salem, New Hampshire. It's kind of like more or less right over the Massachusetts border in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And it's like equally distant from my house to your house. It's like an hour and a half from my house, an hour and a half from your house, and we're about an hour and a half apart. So
yeah,
we need more time driving than anything else.
Yeah, it was quite a long day going down there. We left here at about 9:30 or so. We got down to America's Stonehenge. I want to say it was before 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it was about 10:30, quarter of 11.
And then we were able to walk through all that and look all over that place and be out of there before noon.
Yeah. Well, I've been there several times.
Yeah.
You've never been there, and I was like, how have you never been here, since it is actually relatively close to you?
Yeah, that's not far. I'm surprised I'd never stumbled upon it and then just gone down. Mm-hmm. Like at one point in time, I had with one of my ex-girlfriends, I had planned on going on a trip to the Bennington Triangle in Bennington, around Bennington, Vermont. And it wound up being shitty weather the entire week we were supposed to go out there, and most of the stuff we were going to do was going to wind up being outside. So I just put the kibosh on it. We didn't go. But I had heard of this America's Stonehenge, but I'd never gone or never really looked into it. And after we had gone, it's funny. I was at the vet's office the other day, taking the puppies in for their first shots, and on the screen of the computer screen, you know how Windows pops up like an image every couple of days or whatever, a new image. Well, it was these rock structures that looked very similar to what we were at.
Yeah.
And I meant to ask him to hover over where it was so I could see where it was. Because you can hover over the top section in the corner and it will tell you where exactly that image is from. And I had meant to ask him, and I never did, because I just got, asking questions about the dog and the puppies. And so, but I had meant to say something to you too, because it looked so insanely similar to what we had walked through.
Yeah.
The structure, the way it was built structurally, and except that these things had domes or tops to them.
Yeah.
Whereas we were walking around, a lot of it didn't, or it may not. Yeah, it's not the way that it was.
Right.
So
So it's in North Salem, New Hampshire. It's a private site, so anyone can go there. It's almost every day except for major holidays, usually from like sun up to sundown. And it's called America's Stonehenge, but it also known as Mystery Hill, New Hampshire, because of its not really known who did this, and there's some theories about that, but it is also has a reputation as a controversial site and as a possible fraud site as well,
Right.
or if it's an actual archaeological site that it may have been manipulated to be a little bit more than what it really is. And so that's one of the interesting things about it is what is original, what has been possibly manipulated. I think the current owners are just leaving it the way it is, and they're not doing anything else. And they kind of are clear that some of this stuff it could have been manipulated, but part of it's because it's been known about since like the I don't know early 1800s or late 1700s.
Mm-hmm.
People lived there, and it has had different it was part of a farm at one point. It was at one point like poor people lived in these like kind of like like they're kind of like cellar holes, some of them, or like little stone buildings,
Mm-hmm.
or little people who didn't have any means lived in there. It was at one point a stop on the Underground Railroad in the 1840s and 50s, used for African people trying to get to free places to kind of escape and hide in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of these uses, the stone structures, if they're original, were manipulated in ways that are not original. And there is a specific thing, what's called the sacrificial table, that may not be even original to the site at all. At all, and just kind of used to hype it up as, hey, there were sacrifices here.
Yeah, the picture that we're looking at now, this was the first thing that we came upon, right?
Yeah.
As we were walking up the trail, which is they call it the lower well. And then I think this is the first thing that we came upon. This little area. I don't know.
The Paddy area, and that's the last name of like a colonial farmer who had lived in these parts of the structures, and maybe had built his home over top of them, and kind of incorporated them into his kind of farm homestead. So in this area of New England, it was very common for people to take stone cellar holes and put like one room cabins on top, and that's what you lived in. You lived in this, you did everything in this one room.
Yeah. And that's the
as you walk up, you see that there are more like walls, and some of them use quite large stones on these kind of exposed like ledges. And it's at top of a hill. It's not a really big hill here, but it's on the top, these built up on this prominence, and they've had to cut trees. If you had cut the trees, you could see probably quite far, but you kind of walk up this hill, and you see all these different walls, and you can see the stones are collapsing over time. And you kind of like walk your way through these stone structures that don't have roofs anymore for the most part. There are some that you can walk through, like this chamber you can walk through.
Yeah, this one we went down into. Oh.
Hey, there you are. That's one of the standing stones. So Europe is much more famous for having standing stones, but this site here in New Hampshire does have standing stones, and they do actually accurately mark out astronomical alignments. So that is part of the mystery, is like, okay, well, that is kind of.
And that one there that I'm standing next to, Holly, that one I believe is a sunrise stone, because that was at the end when we were walking out, right?
That might be the May 1st sunrise stone. And so one of the things that is interesting that is that they have standing stones that not only mark out accurately the winter and summer solstice and the equinox points, but also what you would call like May 1st and November 1st, which is why kind of the some of the people who investigated the site in the early 20th century drew conclusions that this site was actually a Celtic site from Celtic people that had crossed the Atlantic from Europe, because
Right.
they have alignments that matched up with the important Celtic holidays.
Right. I mean the kind in some ways it kind of makes sense.
Right. And one of the reasons why it's called American Stonehenge, not just because we have the standing stones, but this actually is it is in alignment with the standing stone structures in Salisbury, England, which is a much huger, those structures are much larger. This is pretty much walking distance, and you don't have like the 20, 30 foot, like, sarsen stones like you have in England, but you do
Right.
have like the one that Chris is standing next to, like man size. That's going to take a couple of people to move them around. So this one here, you can see those are outlined drill marks. And the thing is that they do know that in the late 1800s and early, in the colonial periods when they started having they did use drills and lifts to move some of the structures for different purposes, either to make it more usable as a living situation, or to either try to reconstruct things or move things around the way they thought they might have been. So, I mean, that is clear evidence of what had been.
And that's just being marked out there.
Yes, that is known.
Is that the sacrificial table there?
That's part of it, yeah.
I think I got another image of it coming up. Hold on. Okay, so this is down underneath. See, I don't know like what Facebook did with these. I had these in an order, and Facebook has thrown them all out of whack as I'm going through them.
Yeah.
Because this is back to where we were going through the underground passage. And then this is back out.
Yeah.
And let's see. So there's that. Okay, there it is.
There is what they call the sacrificial table. But
that's come under fire.
That is absolutely controversial, and that it doesn't really
fit
with anything ancient, and it looks more like a stone that maybe was used for some kind of lye extraction. It's been proposed that it's also part of a cider press, which that doesn't really make sense.
And I'll be honest, when we were there, that is probably the one thing that didn't look like it fit.
Yeah,
out of all the stuff that was there in that part of the structure, that did not look like it fit.
Yeah.
But
you see like how they have like these little niches and stuff, like that's one where you could have stored stuff in there.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You can see where they could have had different kinds of like roofing on it, but it's all gone.
Here's another standing stone.
And they all almost have like notches of some kind on the top, and that's when you get the alignment, is when the sun or the moon matches up with the notches.
Yeah, I really liked the standing stones, because you could sit at one point in that that little. It was actually a structure that was built obviously after something new, but you could sit in that point and look all around and see all of the different standing stones, or where they were supposed to be, the ones that were laid down.
Right. They have a wooden covered platform with a map on the inside, and you can go and from this wooden observation deck platform, you can see all the different standing stones. And then you can look down on the map and you can see where they are all marked for the different astronomical alignments.
Yeah, and I mean all these different. I mean, Holly and I walked through the whole thing, I'm a huge stone wall fan. I grew up. My family had a huge piece of property that had stone walls on it that were the old property lines. Um, and that's the way people used to do things. They to mark their property line, they just put up a stone wall. Excuse me. And the one thing I said to Holly while we were walking through there is that I couldn't understand it, that if these stone walls were property lines, it made no fucking sense whatsoever. Like there's no rhyme or reason to them. So that kind of did not make sense in the traditional sense as far as the stone walls that are around that place go.
Yeah, you
Now
can
I
see
don't,
the viewing platform in this picture in the
yeah,
back.
and I don't know if those stone walls too, to go back to what you were talking about earlier, Holly, about the stuff that may have been done to make it look more fantastic.
Hmm.
I got wondering about that with the stone walls, because
Hmm.
you know how they're all kind of weird and they make
Well,
all these weird turns and there's this
yeah,
no sense whatsoever to them.
no,
But they
it
but they don't seem like they're part of any of the other stuff.
right. In the some of the part where like there's like the two walls where you feel like you're walking up a walkway up to something.
Hmm.
Do you remember that? That felt weird, and I don't know if that's necessarily
Yeah,
original or not.
I don't know if any of that stuff belonged there. See, I would have loved to have seen it when the guy, I guess his name was something Goodwin,
Yeah,
who actually found the place. I would have loved to have seen it then, like his original finding of the site, what that looked like. There's another standing stone there, and you can see how, because they have it all cut out so that people, you can see the sky, so it's all marked out.
yeah. So they have because it's a wooded area, and you wouldn't necessarily be able to see the alignments with all the trees. They have gone and cut these corridors through the forest so that you can see the alignments.
Right, and
Um,
it's pretty. It's a pretty spot.
I mean, just as a like kind of a nature spot and a place to stroll around, it's really nice. It's quiet. It's really clean.
And we
The
got to
people
see
who manage,
llamas, Holly.
hmm?
And we got to
Y-
see llamas.
and, yeah, I know. At the end, you can get
Holly,
well. They're
Holly,
actually alpacas.
Holly's in love with the little alpacas. Yeah, she, the big eyes on it.
Oh,
That one white and black one. You fell in love with that little thing because you knew it was there.
I know.
They
I
are
take them
cute.
home with me.
They are cute. I'm not a
Yeah,
big farm animal guy at all.
yeah,
Just not. It's not my thing.
yeah.
But those little fuckers are cute when we were coming out. Those are cute.
They
I
hum.
don't
Did you
know.
know alpacas hum? They go, hmm,
No,
and
I
they,
didn't know that.
yeah, yeah,
Here's another one of those swaths that are cut out.
yeah, so that you can better see the
This
you know,
is from above down into the location.
yeah,
And it is a very cool spot. If you're in, the Northeast, you're traveling around, whatever, vacation in the summer, I would go check it out. It's a cool little spot. And it's another standing stone
yeah.
there.
And some of it does seem to be truly ancient, and they have done archaeological digs here. They have found old ash here that's quite old. They do find like bits of stones that seem to be used by Native Americans that some different points Native Americans were in this area on the site. We just don't know how, like this picture here shows a boulder, but then humans have come along and built up these little cairns, and those are all modern.
Yeah, those
So
are all from. One person noted, "Oh, that's wicked cool," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's just people doing that come through. That's not
yeah,
that's not part of the
yeah,
original thing."
because like it's like a human impulse to build.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
to
here
to
that's
add
my
something.
this That's the winter solstice stone, which is my favorite standing stone there.
Yeah, that's a pretty spot too.
Yeah.
I remember when we were coming through there. It's beautiful.
It is it's a very peaceful place. I think somebody asked if there was any vibes or anything there. The one vibe that you get is that it's very peaceful there, very serene, and it's quiet um and still. And they have a cute little gift shop, but they do have some of that like archaeology findings, everything from like shackles from the time when it
Oh
was
yeah.
used in the Underground Railroad to there are some stones that are alleged to come from the site that have inscriptions. Now, you know, the kind of one of my criticisms is that yes, they do have kind of carved inscriptions on them, but there's known manipulation here, and there's also an agenda to really prove a particular past here. So, they have what's called the 39 stone. It's in Roman numerals and it spells out 39, and it was found near, I think, the May 1st marker.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was and it was in like saying that 30 days after the 39 days after the spring equinox is the May 1st, and marking out that, and that is one of the pieces of evidence, along with a couple other stones with inscriptions to like Baal or basically the Celtic equivalent in certain Punic and Ogham scripts. And you just don't know if those were planted there or not to
further the agenda.
To further the agenda, because the record keeping from the very first explorations of the site is just not that good. To be perfectly honest, and to criticize the site for what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the end of the pictures there.
Yeah.
That last one. I wish Facebook could put it more in order, because the way I had put them up was the order was kind of the way that we went through it, which would have been a little better, but that's all right. I mean, hey, It is what it is.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. What was cool for me was, like you said, I'd never seen it before, and I was surprised that I'd never seen it before. That I'd never been there. I'd always wanted to check it out. It was just one of those things that I had never just taken the time to go down and do, and I should have, like a while ago. I should have, because I spent a whole summer like not very far from there.
Yeah,
I could have easily just taken a jaunt over and been like, oh, hey, let's go do this today, and just didn't do it, and have no idea why I didn't do it either. But very, very cool to do. I do think that there's something to it. I think you're right. I think there's something hokey with the whole. There's definitely stuff that's been added. There's shit that's not original, in my opinion. And there's obviously been some manipulation, as with anything where land exchanges hands over the years. People probably just were like, this is my property, I'm just going to do what I want with it. So things got changed, and then other people probably tried to have it tell a certain story, so of course they wanted it to be a certain way so they could make money off of it. And like we were talking about when we were walking up to it, that it was like, it looks like kind of a side gig. That the people have the gift shop and they're charging for the, people to go up to look at it. Hey, that's fine. That's cool. It's a neat little place.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's worth it because the grounds actually are very nice.
Yeah, they are.
It's very clean, and it's very safe. And, if I lived closer, I would probably buy a year membership, and I would use that place as a place to go do easy hikes to walk around, because it is so nice and quiet and peaceful there.
And you could make that part of your walk.
Yeah.
Like, going through there and walking through it, and that could be part of the whole hike. for your day if you were closer. Like I'd consider something like that. And you were saying they maintain it for like snowshoeing and stuff in the winter too, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
You can rent snowshoes there or bring your own,
that'd be cool.
you
I
know,
never
and
got into that. I bought a pair of snowshoes once and never really used them.
hmm and if you have, you know, when we were there was like a Boy Scout troop or something there, or like a group of kids. And
Hmm.
it's not so big that your kids are going to get like super tired. And it's going to be something that gets them excited about history and the natural world. And
Oh yeah, it's neat. Like there's some neat stuff for kids to like walk through. Like that underground stuff. You're under there. You can walk
yeah.
right through. It goes all the way down through. There's all kinds of different chambers.
Hmm.
It's some neat shit. Um, and I would recommend it to anybody who's interested in that type of stuff. It does look like it's some type of ancient ruins, to me. How ancient? That's the question. Um,
And who really did it, or, you know, like how much, what is the original stuff? You know,
right.
I mean,
And what's been added?
what's been added and who added it. I mean, there is evidence that it's been in use since like 2900 BC. So
Hmm.
that makes it like 5,000 years old. But, you know, in the meantime, more modern humans have come and, you know, tried to do
Done some
other,
shit.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean,
And it is not by far, it's the most famous site in New England that, but it's not the only one.
listen.
And
All I need to do to know that human beings are pieces of shit, Ollie, is I just need to go walk down to the beach here,
mm,
and within 5 minutes, I can find cigarette butts, firework, fireworks trash, and just shit left on the beach. And if that's the case, people just do that just here, in this nice, beautiful place. Human beings they're horrible. So over the years, what people have done to this site, who knows? Who knows how many times this thing has changed hands?
yeah.
Like what has happened? We don't know.
Hmm.
And it's too bad because I think that there's something there. I think there's something significant at that site. But I think
Yeah.
there's been a lot of bullshit too.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the things is that there was not a lot of evidence at the time that the uh, indigenous people in the New England area had any interest in astronomy, but they're really not that far from the place that you went last summer, the Snakehead Mound, which clearly
Hmm.
has astronomical alignments and has indigenous heritage to it. So that
Yeah.
you don't have to fall back and say that it had to be Celtic people or put evidence there that's not true to say that
I,
just because the Celtic people in Europe are the, you know, big or one of the big astronomical
Hey, I look at it this
alignment
way.
cultures.
I look at it this way, Holly. Native Americans run a very huge gamut. Okay, look at the people, the Pueblo people there, the Anasazi.
Hmm.
They have all those alignments there in that friggin' weird city that they've found. And you've got all the Incas, the Aztecs, the Mayans down in South America. And to think that there's no possibility that they came up into America ever. I mean, I just it- it's too close, So, and they were very much into their star alignments.
Right.
So that's where, when people go, well, yeah, the Native Americans weren't really into that. Well, which Native Americans are we talking about? Because some of them fucking were, when it
Hmm.
comes to these people who try to shoot that shit down, who say, oh, no, 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 they weren't into that. Well, they kind of were.
Hmm.
And some of them kind of really were. So I don't know. I wonder. I really wonder when it comes to stuff like this because that place that we went to, super interesting. But it doesn't to me scream Native American. it screams more. It does scream more Celtic, or of those from coming from a European background. You tend to see more of that over there.
Mhm.
Those those stone structures, the circles, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
The i.e. Stonehenge.
Mhm.
But that's my take on it. But I think it was very interesting. And thank you for taking me, by the way. Because I'd never been, and I thought it was really fun. We had a fun day.
It was
I thought
really
we had a
fun.
fun. I thought we had a fun day.
And I think it's awesome when, we can actually go to an actual site and bring to our
Oh yeah,
listeners, hey, we actually, instead of just doing internet research, we went someplace this time.
yeah. And for anybody that wants to check it out, I did put up videos on the like page, on the 40 and Slip like page that you can look at, of the actual site.
They have a website and they have a
Mhm.
video about it, explaining they ask people to like watch the video so
Yeah,
that they
there's
can.
and if you go there, you can download their app, and as you're walking through the site, you can have a guided tour,
Yeah.
on the app. So that's kind of cool too. So I would recommend to anybody to go check it out. And uh, there are other places that we could definitely check out too, that are not that far away.
Yeah.
I'm doing the show tonight, the 40 and Slip, on the Berkshire's UFO thing they
Hmm.
had on Unsolved Mysteries. I'm gonna have Tom Reed and Melanie. I think her last name is Kirchdorfer or something like that, on tonight.
That's awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
and they were both part of
Hmm.
that episode.
Well, and we had talked about in New Hampshire, one of our other big famous paranormal things is the Betty and Barney Hill,
Yes,
which is they've marked that out as a kind of like a trail, like you can go visit the
you can
trail
go check
markers.
it out. Yes,
The bunch of us might go and.
because that's, I mean, the Betty and Barney Hill thing was definitely probably one of my more favorite UFO um, reports. And then I heard this one. I watched this Unsolved Mysteries episode about the Berkshire's UFO experience. This is pretty interesting. This one is one where I scratch my head a little bit.
Mhm.
I go, hmm.
You just reminded me of something because I was out. I was out this August 12th and 13th is the peak of the Perseid meteor shower.
Oh yeah, yeah. You had
And
told me. You said that.
it is this year is good. I mean, you can still go out and you still have a really good chance of seeing a meteor if you go out
Hmm.
and it's a clear night because we're heading into the new moon, so it's going to be like really dark
Really
night
dark. Yeah.
conditions. So if your area has a clear sky, you could still sit out and possibly see a meteor. I went out and sat, and I did
And
see some
watched it.
meteors. And I also saw a very strange small dot, which I thought at first was a satellite. And I watched it and I watched it go one direction and then it went out of my view and I thought it was gone. And then I saw a very extremely tiny, like loop around and come back across. I mean, it was just so small and it had to be something.
Hmm.
And then it looped and it started to like zigzag through my field of vision. And I have no idea what it was. It could totally be some kind of, multiple satellites up there,
Right.
but it was just a very odd because would seem like it would fade in and out a little bit. But it was just that this very small thing had come through my field of vision, and then it seemed to have zigzagged. And I just didn't know. Usually when I've seen satellites in the past, it passes by, and then it's gone. And
Right.
then this little point, or there, maybe there were three or four things moving up there, but it was just strange how it seemed to be the same thing, and it seemed like it was zigzagging.
Well, it's like I got talking with Tom, you know, before, to let him know about everything, how the show is going to go tonight when he comes on. And I was explaining the experience that I had in the 90s. And he was like, oh, yeah. Because um, I saw this thing above me and it kind of reminded me of the Phoenix Lights, but it had, there was no sound. It seemed like it was really low, going really slow. But in retrospect, later on in my life, after I had seen I saw a bomber run by a B-52 at an air show. And even those things, even when you see them close up, when they come down, they seem like they're moving very, very slow.
Yeah.
And I had to remind myself, that at the time they were testing the stealth bombers. Is that it was right before they announced that they were in existence. So it very, very well could have been that. And I don't ever take my experience and say it was definitely a UFO. I say it was strange, but it very well could have been just a misidentification or something else, or it wasn't even really misidentification because I don't say it was anything. I just say this is what I saw. So
yeah.
But yeah, the Betty and Barney Hillside, isn't that on the Kangamangas?
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Where they have now put
The marker
signs in the basic vicinity of where the different things have happened. Different, and they put up these little signs that kind of tell about it. And I've never gone through and driven it, but
yeah.
And it always is kind of this thing is like I've been on the that part of the highway, many times because I'm that also is not, close to me, but it's not that far either. And so I'm a local, so it's like, oh, this is really kind of in my own personal backyard that I could go check it out.
Right. Yeah, I would be down for going over there as well. That's not that far away from us. Not relatively, anyway.
Oh, no, and it's a nice drive. We'll try not to make it 2 years from the point of having the idea to the actual execution of the idea.
Actually doing it.
Yeah, which is what happened with the America's Stonehenge field trip.
Yeah.
Oh, we should do this. Yeah. And
yeah,
then
we should do this. Yeah. We'll get to that. To that.
Clearly the stars had to come in correct alignment for us to
God.
take a field trip.
But I mean, hey, it happened and we were able to get there and it was very, very cool. So
and it was not like blazing hot, which it has been this week here. And
oh yeah. It luckily it was not like super humid there because it's in the woods. So it would have been, that would have been miserable. But we had a good time. So I'm going to wrap us up, Holly. And
we have a comment.
We have a comment.
Bad Gaming 69 just got here. Oh, we're winding down. Sorry about that.
Android app, heavens above is free and great for seeing what is above you, sky watching wise.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yep, very, very good to know. I will check that out. Bad Gaming 69. I believe that's Les. Les is a longtime fan. Yeah, we'll try to be back next week with another topic. We just wanted to go over our trip out to America's Stonehenge. So you can check out all the pictures on the 40 and Slip Like page. There are videos there, and of course this show. Until next time, we will.
Hey Les.
Yeah, hey Les. We'll be seeing you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.